Hey everybody, it's Amanda, and I am going to answer a question that was asked on my Facebook page a couple of weeks ago, I guess it's been now. And we're going to talk about how to paint something that is a real object, and while you're looking at it, turn it into something that's more impressionistic. So, if you guys are joining me live here on my Facebook page, say hi. Let me know that you can see and hear and everything is working like it should. Hi, Sherry. I'm glad you're here. So, this question is something that gets asked a lot, and it seemed to be something that a lot of people are really interested in learning more about. What I did was I posted on my Facebook page and I said, pretend that we are going to spend a whole day together in my studio. What questions would you have? What would you like to know? What would you be interested in learning? And one of the questions was how to take something that is real and make it into something that looks like an impressionist or almost abstract. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, Karen. Hi, Donna. Um, this is something that takes a lot of practice, or it may be something that comes natural to you. You may be able to just kind of sit down and figure this out after we go through this and I talk to you about it just a little bit and give you a little bit of a demonstration about it. I'm not going to actually paint anything in this video, but I'm going to show you something that I did paint and the real thing that I painted from, and kind of walk you through what my process is, what my mind is doing, what my brain is saying when I'm trying to take something that's real and turn it into something that looks more like an impressionist type style. So let me get this set up here. Hang on. This right here, I'm going to move my camera over and down a little bit. Okay, this right here is going to be where we're learning today. And I keep messing up my screen here. Hang on just a second. All right. I need to see what you're seeing. This right here it's an artificial hydrangea, but it's a real object. So that's going to be our subject. And I painted this in a couple of or three different ways here on my little mixed media sketch pad. And I'm going to try to hold that side down because it keeps wanting to poke up a little bit. But here's what we're going to do. If you can see this, it's got some green, it's got some pink, maybe you could say a little yellow, and it's very, if you're just looking at it with your eye without thinking about it, it just looks green. So it's very hard to see a lot of different colors in this if you're not thinking about it really hard, if that makes any sense. So most people would look at this and then just grab some pastels, maybe some green paint. Maybe even if you've done this for a little while, you may choose some sap green and some white. And that may be your main colors that you try to use to create this. So you would take maybe your palette knife or your paintbrush and you would mix up your paints and you would start trying to paint this in a way that, there's some cat hair on it. You would try to paint this in a way that looks mostly green. And what's going to happen is you're going to come out with something that's very flat. It's not going to look three-dimensional, and it's not going to really, it's not going to be to your satisfaction for the most part, most of the time. Or you may take the opposite direction, and you may take lots of different colors. You may mix up your bright your highlight color and your mid color, and you have a dark color, and you start painting it. Put this right here. And what you try to do is create something more along the lines of this, where each individual little flower is painted almost precisely, exactly the same way that you see it here. So you have the dark, really dark center, you have each petal. So this will be a more realistic way of painting with lots of details. I mean, I just did one of all of these here just as a little example. So some people may take that route. They may go for as much detail as possible. Or if you go the way that my brain goes, I see all of these colors in this one artificial flower here. And I don't see each little individual detail as much as I see shape and a blurred look at detail. And so this is a little bit hard for me to describe in words, but I'm going to try my best. Okay, so when you're looking at an object, no matter what it is, I took this flower, for example. When you look at it, try to look at it as one big basic shape. Okay, so when I was looking at this and I painted this here, I was looking at this flower just like this. And so you can see that there's just the main shape of it and a stem. There aren't little bitty details painted in there. There aren't even any of these little center flower dots in this one like I've got here. When I painted this part here, I had it turned sort of like this, so all I could see was one round piece. And same thing, I started out with dark, and then I added some lighter colors and built up those layers. But it's still just a general shape. There are no tiny little details in there at all. So when you're looking to paint something that's more impressionistic, the first thing you need to do is look at the general shape of it. You don't need to get caught up in all of the little bitty details in there. So if I were to look at this and try to paint it realistically, it would drive me crazy because my brain can't comprehend all of these little details in a logical way. But what it can do is see the big picture, see this as one large shape. And when I'm putting in my colors, which vary greatly, especially in this one here, I've got some dark green, I've got a mid green, and I've got a lighter green, I've got some white, and I've got a little bit of pink. So putting in all of those different colors in this one general shape is what gives it that impressionistic look. Whereas if I were to try to paint this realistically with all of my flowers looking like this right here, then that's going to it's going to make all of the details, make all of the lights and the darks put in exactly the right place. People that paint in this style might even paint or draw a grid on their paper so that they have the exact shape of each flower painted exactly the way that it looks. And that whole realistic idea is well, it freaks me out a little bit. I can't do it. It's not natural for me at all. But most of the time, when you look at something that is real, that's where your brain kind of goes. So I can understand how it can be frustrating to look at something that is real and then try to paint it in an abstract or an impressionistic way if you're not looking at it as one big shape with several different variations of color that has blurry details. So that's how I want you to think about it. Think, what is the general shape of this thing that I'm going to paint? And what colors are represented in this thing that I'm going to paint? And now I'm going to blur all the details. I don't need to know, my brain doesn't need to know exactly where each little dot in the center of each one of these parts of this flower is for me to see that this is a hydrangea when I get done with it. So hopefully that was somewhat helpful. Let's see. Donna says painterly. Love the style. Yes, I love a good painterly painting. Anything that represents, that's a good way to think about it. It represents something, but it doesn't give you all the details of it. So this represents a hydrangea. This gives you all the details of it. So what you've got to practice doing is finding the colors. So, and that's a totally different subject, mixing your colors or finding the right colors for whatever it is that you're creating. So you need to look at whatever it is that you're going to paint, find the colors. You don't even have to use the same colors if you don't want to. You can, I could have painted this in a big variety of pinks if I wanted to. So find your colors, figure out what the main shape, the big picture is, and then put it down, the colors in the places where you would like for them to be, and try to blur the details in your mind. There are probably some more academic terms for what I'm trying to explain to you, but I thought that it's best, if I'm going to try to teach you how I do things, to show you and use words that make sense to me as a self-taught artist also. So hopefully this was helpful. And those of you who are more interested in trying this painterly style, this more abstract, a little impressionistic look, I want to encourage you just to practice, because that's what's going to help you more than anything else. Just getting in there with your paints and trying things. Mix colors, trace things, draw things, paint things, all of the things that are going to help you to make better paintings, just kind of build on one another. So your sketching skills and looking at things in a different way, instead of just seeing one color, try really hard to look at things and see all of the different colors that may be in whatever it is that you're trying to paint, because the light and the shadows, depending on where I put this flower, if I were to put it next to my lamp over here or next to the window over here, the color and the shadows and the places where you need to have your lighter parts are going to change. So just focus more on the big picture, the big shape, blur the details, and try really hard to get your 3 areas of paint color, which would be your lights, your mediums, your darks, trying to get those established in whatever it is that you're painting, and it will turn out more painterly, loose, abstract, impressionistic, whatever terms you want to use for it, it will turn out well if you can get those three things, those main three things: the big picture, the colors, and the blurred details. So I'm going to look and see if you guys have any questions. And if not, then that will be our lesson for today. I'm going to try to go through that Facebook post and look at some of those other questions, and each week try to help you a little more with some of those things that seem to be a block or a pain point, if you want to call it that, something that is keeping you from moving forward. And those of you who are in my creative community, this is the kind of stuff that we're going to dig a little deeper in. I may do some more live videos for you, some little bonus things over in the creative community, and we'll talk about some more of this technique type thing that you have questions about. So if you guys don't have any other questions today, then I'm going to go, and I will see you next time. Bye.